One of the biggest complaints most shoppers have right now in the pickup truck market is pricing. Let's be honest though, a lot of people do focus on the F-150, larger Ram pickups, and then of course the Chevrolet Silverado, when in reality all they really need is a mid-size pickup, but size is everything in the US. Now if you're someone who's looking at buying a pickup truck at around $50,000 or below, I think you actually have a great pick here with the 2025 Chevrolet Colorado Z71. Now, as you've already experienced on this channel, we have checked out the LT, which is providing a lot of value, but maybe not so much the creature comforts and amenities if you don't go with the LT convenience package. Well, for under $50,000, you have the Z71, which I think is a jack of all trades in the lineup and might be the go-to for 2025. In today's video, we're going to check out the 2025 Chevrolet Colorado Z71, see what it's offering. We're going to check out the exterior, the interior, take it out for a quick test drive, and see why. If you are in the market for a mid-sized pickup truck, you want a vehicle that is somewhat capable, also family-friendly, spacious, and you want to have that ground clearance for those off-road adventures, then maybe taking a look at the Z71 might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Copeland Chevrolet here in Hudson, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out the Chevrolet Colorado Z71. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Chevrolet inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the 2025 Chevrolet Colorado Z71, you're looking at a starting cost of just under $46,000. The slot's below the ZR2 in the lineup, and when you are comparing it to a Trail Boss, the Trail Boss seems to be a bit more off-road tuned, a bit more rugged, whereas the Z71 is sleeker in appearance, but it does share most of those same attributes with the Trail Boss, and it is a huge upgrade over the LT we had recently featured, where when you take a look at the utility, capability, and spec sheet, the Z71 makes a lot of sense for those of you looking at buying a pickup truck in this market. Now, design-wise, though, this is where the Z71, in my opinion, is very appealing. Up front, you are going to receive full LED headlights and LED fog lights, whereas with the LT, that's all optional, and without those LED lights, it looks quite bare. And for the front fascia of this generation, it's very aggressive. It looks mean. It looks rugged with the aggressive body lines and also the way the front fascia is shaped. This is a huge difference compared to last generation. Now, you're also going to have some gloss black accents as well for this model with the blacked out bow tie and Z71 badge on the grille. Now the grille is a bit more of a plastic material here, so not a gloss black look, which I'm not surprised by. For the lower portion of the front bumper, you are going to have gloss gray accents, giving you somewhat of a two-tone look up front, and you will have those red tow hooks, so that way when you are going on those trails, maybe with a friend who has a Ford Ranger or maybe even a Toyota Tacoma, you can pull them out when they are stuck in the mud. Then as you make your way over the side profile, the one thing I do want to point out here with the Z71 is that you will have a full paint finish. Now, when you're comparing this to the Trail Boss, it has more of that cladding there. So if you don't want to go for that look, the Z71 I think is probably the better choice. However, though, with the Z71, you are going to receive 20-inch alloy wheels wrapped in all-terrain tires. So the Z71 is capable of taking on those elements, maybe even taking on winter road conditions here. Also, by going with the Z71, you get an inch lift in the ground clearance at 8.9 inches. So much more versatility here. We haven't even gotten to the payload capacity and towing capacity for this pickup, which makes this, in my opinion, the go-to under $50,000 in the Colorado lineup. Now, also for our model, we are going to have gloss black side mirror caps, which blend in very well with our model today, with it being black. We're not going to have turn signal indicators, surprisingly, but we are going to have blind spot detection for added safety. And better yet for our model, the reason why I chose it is that we are going to have the side running boards here, allowing easy access into the cab of this pickup. Then as you make your way around to the back, you're going to notice the Z71 badge on the bed, again letting you know what trim this is. But also by going with the Z71, you are going to have LED taillights, which if you are joining me from my LT review, this is a world of a difference from that LT. But really nothing else too noteworthy here for this model, at least aesthetically for the rear fascia, other than the fact that you are going to have some gloss black trim for the rear bumper, and also you have those side steps allowing easy access into the bed of this pickup. Also for the rear fascia, you are going to notice the Chevrolet badge being stamped out on the tailgate, giving you that rugged touch. But now let's get into the payload capacity and towing capacity for this pickup, because I think this is the huge selling point for the Z71. You're looking at a towing capacity of right around 7,700 pounds and a payload capacity of 1,850. So there's a lot of versatility here, and when you are comparing it to the Tacoma, the Ford Ranger, and Nissan Frontier, very competitive as well. Powering the Chevrolet Colorado we have today is a 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, also known as the Turbo Max, which will be found in all trims for 2025, giving us 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Long gone are the days of V6s in this market. A lot of manufacturers are dropping their V6s for Turbo 4s. Even Toyota's doing it with a hybrid 4-cylinder in some of their trims. So this is the way everything's going right now in the midsize pickup truck market in the 2020s. Now, with this 8-speed automatic, though, it does shift quite smoothly and pairs up very well with this powertrain. So as a daily pickup, when you are commuting to work, passing slower drivers, entering highways, you're going to notice that this engine is quite potent and, I think, rather enjoyable. Now, with this pickup truck, you can go with 2-wheel or 4-wheel drive. So obviously, we have 4-wheel drive for our vehicle living up here in New England, giving us better year-round capability and versatility. More importantly, though, is going to be that fuel economy. You're looking at right around 17 miles per gallon in the city and 21 miles per gallon on the highway for a combined average of 19 miles per gallon. Not the best in this market, but fuel efficiency has never been the name of the game for the midsize pickup truck segment. Hopping inside the Chevrolet Colorado Z71 we have today, as you can tell, we do not have the EvoTex upholstery. Instead, we have the Z71 Convenience Package 3 equipped on our model, giving us leather-appointed seating. That is right. So you can have a pickup truck that feels somewhat upscale without spending over $50,000. Along with that, you have a driver memory seat, ventilated front seats, and also a heated steering wheel. So if you do encounter winter road conditions, winter conditions, you can be nice and warm and also comfortable inside this pickup. Also, it makes the Z71 feel a bit more grand when you are hopping inside for the first time. With the leather upholstery, though, these seats are quite plush. They're comfortable. Also, the bolstering is really nice. This is a night and day difference compared to the LT I just hopped out of. With the LT and the cloth upholstery, very stiff, very firm. But on those longer road trips with the Z71, you have a good amount of cushioning for the back of these seats and also the bottom. So you'll not be dealing with any type of fatigue here with the Z71. Although I do think you will like the EvoTex upholstery if you don't want to go with this package and you're just looking for a Z71 over a Trail Boss or LT. Either way, you can't lose here with the Z71 for 2025. Now, unfortunately, the passenger side is still manually adjustable, which I am a bit surprised by because the Z71 starts just below the ZR2, which is the top trim for 2025. Hopefully, at some point, we do see that make its way in this model. But then again, the Z71 in the Colorado is still seen as a utility pickup. But I do think you can find your ideal seating position very easily inside this pickup. In front of you will be a heated wrap steering wheel, which feels really nice in the hands, has a nice premium feel. Also, you will notice the red stitching here, which gives you some sportier tones to this model. No aggressive 10 and 2 or firm 9.3 grips, but that's to be expected for a pickup truck in this segment. I'm not expecting anything different here for 2025. But more importantly is going to be that technology, because if you do own an older generation Colorado, hopping into the 2025 model year is going to be a stark difference, but also I think a welcomed addition for this pickup truck and for a vehicle under $50,000. In front of you will be a full digital gauge cluster here with multiple layouts to choose from. Now, I think the screen is actually quite easy to get acclimated with, and it's not super in-depth like we have seen in other products, but I think it's more than enough for most buyers looking for a tech-focused experience. Taking a look at the infotainment system, you are going to have an Android-based software here with Google Assistant, Google Play Store, Google Maps, and Amazon Alexa, but also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. All your widgets will be in place here on this screen, well within arm's reach. As you can tell, though, with the Z71, you do get some extra widgets here for off-road. The off-road modes is actually pretty cool. We are going to have Baja terrain and overlanding, so if you are going off-road, you can do so with this pickup truck. It's designed to do that with the better ground clearance. Also, you can access your camera systems from this screen as well. Will be more useful, though, if you go with that tech package for 2025. What I also wanted to point out, too, is that you will have a climate menu on this screen, but you really don't need that, though, because you are going to have the buttons and dials for your dual zone climate control AC, front and rear defrosters, fan speed, fan direction, and also heated and ventilated front seats, all within arm's reach and beneath the head unit. So I love to see that tactile experience still make its way in this generation. Then when placing the Colorado in reverse, you are going to have that rear backup camera with trajectory, but also you will have that trailer hitch view as well. Now, if you want to have more camera angles, go with the tech package. That will give you a bit more visibility here when you are backing into tight spots, or maybe even when you are on the trails. Continuing on towards the center console and beneath the head unit, you are going to find another row of buttons here for your auto start stop, your hazards, your lane centering, your auxiliary button, and also a button that opens all your windows. So if you need to have that fresh air make its way very quickly, you can do so with the press of a button. Beneath that, you will find a USB-C and USB-A outlet, a wireless phone charging pad. Then for the center console itself, you have your gear selector here that's flanked by gloss black trim. Then your drive mode selector for auto, 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. We didn't have 4 low in the LT, so keep all of that in mind if you are looking at buying a Colorado for 2025. You can have your electronic parking brake, then 2 cup holders. And then for the standard storage compartment, there's plenty of room for some smaller items, maybe even some smaller water bottles, and there will be a tray for some loose change, wallets, phones, or other small tech gadgets. Now for passengers in the second row, they're going to receive right around 35 inches of legroom, which is conducive for some smaller kids and smaller adults, but if you have taller passengers sitting back here, they will definitely be hitting their head on the headliner. Now, obviously, this is not going to be competitive with a Chevrolet Silverado, so you got to keep all of this in mind. I know most Americans prefer the size of the Silverado, but if you're looking to buy a pickup truck under $50,000, you want that flexibility, you want that capability and off-road ground clearance, you have that with the Z71. Also, because our model has leather seats, these seats are actually quite comfortable. So on those longer road trips, on those weekday commutes, people in the back will be nice and secure, and also they're going to be able to relax back here more importantly. Now, like I said with the LT, I think you can squeeze in a third person in the center, but it is going to be quite the squeeze for them more specifically because the center console does stick out quite a bit. Shoulder room and elbow room wise though, is actually quite good. There's a lot of room here, so I don't think people will be cramped or claustrophobic in that regard. Also, by going with the Z71 and the convenience package, you're going to have some more creature comforts and amenities here. So first off, we have for the center console 2 cup holders, 2 center mounted air vents, a USB-C and USB-A outlet. We also have some pockets here on the backs of these seats, more importantly. And then lastly, you will have a center armrest with 2 cup holders. This, in my opinion, is a must-have. In all seriousness, the Chevrolet Colorado Z71 might be your best bang for your buck in the Chevrolet lineup without getting a pickup that looks outlandish or outrageous. Because the Z71 does look sportier, looks sleeker with the LED headlights compared to an LT, but it's not as aggressive as a Trail Boss. And when you look at the pricing, you're still spending below $50,000 to start with. Obviously, optional packages and optional features can change all of that. But when you look at the LT and the pricing for the LT, if you go with the well-equipped model and then the Z71, you're seeing a bit more here out of this pickup. For one, you have better seating material here, which feels very nice, far more comfortable than the cloth upholstery, and you also get ventilated seats as well. So, you know, those 2 features right there makes this a compelling choice. But then also another thing too is that with the 20-inch wheels that are all-terrain tires, a bit more capability right off the assembly line. Now, with the all-terrain tires, though, I do notice that the ride quality is a bit more harsher, and you feel the bumps and imperfections just a bit more here with the larger tire size, and this feels more aggressively tuned than that LT. This isn't necessarily that work truck, but this is more of a lifestyle pickup that can fit different types of situations. It can still be for utility, but it can also be as a daily commuter, especially with the Z71. You get the better towing capacity and payload capacity over that LT. So this is almost, I don't want to say the value trim, but this might be the go-to for 2025, although the Z71 has always been that way. But I think that right now, if you're someone looking for an aggressive looking pickup that's fun, that's capable, that's spacious, and also feels a bit more grand and upscale for the cab and the interior, this would be the way to go in the lineup without spending over $50,000. Now, like I said before with the LT review, that the 2.7 is rather docile and it doesn't make that much noise. It's not annoying to deal with, and also, even though it is a turbo, there's not a lot of turbo lag when you're just cruising around the city and suburbs, or you're easing on that throttle, which I know some people really don't like turbo engines in this market. They would rather have naturally aspirated V6s. I fully understand that. I get it. But with this 2.7, I think it most certainly does the job. Also, a good amount of low range and mid-range torque, which is perfect when you are entering highways and passing slower drivers. Now, when you go over the bumps and imperfections, you feel them just a bit more here. As you could tell, I could feel a bit more vibration entering the cab, but that's to be expected with the all-terrain tires. But even at around highway speeds, there's not a lot of road noise per se, where it's egregious and unable to deal with, right? And that's really what you're looking for out of a pickup like this. That you have the capability, you have the versatility, you have the features more importantly, but you have a vehicle that's still capable and usable on a daily basis. Now, performance-wise, in regards to the handling and steering input, I do notice that this time around with the Z71, there's a bit more body roll here. You don't feel as connected to the roadways. That could be because of the larger tire size. But I do like the fact that with the steering input, it is quite decently weighted. So there is some communication between you and the vehicle when you are on some winding back roads. Also, there is some engagement too, which is something that I really like and appreciate out of a pickup truck like this. Doesn't feel old school like the old school pickup trucks, but I still think it's providing more than enough here for a lot of you looking for a fun pickup truck that also gives you that versatility and utility that you're looking for. All in all, after this very quick test drive with the 2025 Z71 for the Colorado, this is a fun pickup. For me personally, though, having featured a Z71 before many years ago, this generation is a nice upgrade, actually a significant upgrade, if I'm to be completely honest, mostly because of technology. But then when you look at what its capabilities are, what it's offering here under $50,000, especially now in the 2020s, this is a great alternative if you don't need a larger pickup truck like a Silverado or F-150. Also, if you're just looking at the utility and capability aspect, it's very competitive with the Toyota Tacoma and Ford Ranger. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the 2025 Chevrolet Colorado Z71. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.